I just wanted to start by showing you a video of an electrical issue that I was presented with on a 2019 Suburban. People buy new cars because they think they're not going to have problems. Well, in this case they did. So what happened, customer says that they are experiencing an issue where the instrument cluster keeps telling them that there's a rear door ajar. The passenger rear door apparently is always open even though it's not. And what that does is it keeps the lights on, and it makes it, it just ends up being really annoying. The other part of the issue is that the door window switch, the window actually won't go up or down at all. And so the first thing we do is we verify that the issue is taking place. Obviously, this door is apart, but when I was flipping the switch, it wasn't working. All right, so I was able to verify that pretty easy, and then I also verified that the issue with the instrument cluster showing that the door was ajar was also the case, and it was. So after that, it's time to gather some information. So I was going through this wiring diagram, and over here you can see this is a right rear window switch. What's interesting about this switch, there's computers in cars all the time anymore, and this just happens to be a smaller computer. There's CAN system that goes into it. You guys, if you get into the more advanced electrical classes, you'll learn more about those. The door lock system actually goes through the rear window, right rear window switch. So all of this is connected in a way, so basically maybe if this switch isn't working, that means that everything else isn't working. Some things I noticed were that the fuse actually connects to both the front window switch, the front passenger window switch over here, and the rear passenger window switch. So something that I was able to rule out really fast was that this fuse is not blown. The front window switch worked just fine, and so I didn't even have to check the fuse. Anyway, so there's a ground coming out and there's a power going in, and so that's where I needed to check. I checked the ground and it was fine. I checked the power and it was fine, except it actually the power never made it to the switch. So I'll show you a little bit kind of what I found there. Is I was going through the information again before I ever started actually tearing it apart. I tried to figure out where all my fuses or all my wires were, where all the connectors were. There's a connector in the B pillar. If you're new to automotive, you'll find out more about pillars, A pillars, B pillars, and things like that. But basically, it's just part of the body. So, up in the front, here's the front seat. Here is the B pillar right behind the front seat. And on the passenger side, I took this all apart. There's a connector where the harness goes in right in here. So I checked power to that. It was, the power was getting all the way to the power wire there. And then I even checked power on the other side, right? Well, sorry for the poor video quality, it's kind of tough. Anyway, that red and white wire, I made sure that on the other side of the connection on this connector, it was also getting power. Sure enough, it was. I'm going to post some pictures of some photos that I found, or that I took, of some interesting things. Anyway, in the end, what I found was this. Da-da-da. So the brilliant engineers of Chevy made a kink in the wire. Basically, the way this wire goes is it kinks right here, really tight like this, around this plastic connector, or routing thing. Anyway, it's supposed to prevent chafing and breaking of wires inside the door. You're not going to be able to see much in there, sorry. But what it ended up doing was creating its own chafe point, and it ripped this wire. Now, not only is that wire gone, but there were a couple others that were going as well. So even the ground wire has, if you can see that, a little bit of a split in it. And so that one is starting to go, and then this other wire, which I can't remember what it is, got a split in it, and there's actually corrosion developing in that one as well. So that's what happened. So what I ended up telling the customer is, well, I shared with them all the information that I found. What we're going to do with it to make it right is we're going to replace the harness for the door when it comes in. Shortage of parts and transportation right now, so it's going to be a couple weeks before we get it, but that's the issue. And so it was pretty cool to find. I'm glad it wasn't the computer or anything like that. A lot of people jump right to switches, but you got to make sure that you have power and ground to your switches. In this case, there wasn't any power.